conversating. Felt like I got signed the day that I got an agent. Got an iTunes check, shit, man, I'm paying rent. About damn time that I got it in my...
I remember the exact moment that my life changed. It was 10 years ago, May 2003, almost 10 years ago to the day. And I was in the O'Hare airport going between a client project and home. At the time, I worked for Accenture, the largest consulting firm in the world. And I needed another book to read on the second leg of my flight. So I went to the airport bookstore, the business section, the books I tended to read. And I saw this interesting looking sort of purple book there. And my flight was boarding. I didn't know what it was about, but I grabbed it and got on my flight. It was smaller than normal. So I finished it in about half my flight. And it was Purple Cow by Seth Godin. And everything Ryan just said about making a product that's remarkable, that stands out, that people want to talk about, this book is the Bible for that. And Ryan's absolutely right. This book was published 10 years ago this month, and people still don't get that. So I read this book, and I was working for this big corporate consulting company. I went home, I ordered all the rest of Seth's books, I subscribed to his blog, I just devoured everything. And then from there, I found Clue Train Manifesto and a whole bunch of other stuff. And my mind was blown because my world of business and marketing was Accenture, and this was a whole different world. And so I was really excited. I was going to bring all this cool innovation and creativity to Accenture. Accenture didn't want to hear that. Accenture, I felt like reading all this stuff nights and weekends, I had this sort of like magic gold-plated canoe paddle. And when I tried to bring it to Accenture, I realized Accenture is a battleship. So you can have all the canoe paddles you want, but it's just slowly moving through the sea. They didn't really want to hear about innovation and creativity. So at the end of 2008, Seth wrote a blog post called, "If You Could Change Your Life, Would You?" And after 5 years of being very frustrated trying to bring these innovative, creative ideas to a huge, boring corporation, I was ready to change my life. I could see that this stuff was going to be massively important, and I was banging my head against the wall trying to get it implemented at the career that I had. So Seth's blog post was talking about a program that he offered in his office north of New York City for 6 months. He offered an alternative MBA program. So to me, this would have been like if Steve Jobs had said, "Hey, if you're a hacker, come hack in my basement for 6 months, let's make something." And I jumped at the chance. I think within 30 minutes of reading the blog post, I was filling out the application, and it was a big, long thing with a bunch of interesting questions, and it was not an easy application. But I made the only interview round of 25 people. I went to New York. The interview round was very interesting. Seth only interviewed us each one-on-one for about a minute each, and then the rest of the time he had us interview each other. So you had to sell yourself to 25 other people. They had to put your name on the application without coming off like a jerk. You only had 2 hours, and you had to meet and get everyone else to put your name on the card. So I went through the program with Seth, and so in July of 2009, end of 6 months with this great marketing mastermind, I had a choice to make. I took a leave of absence from Accenture, so I could go back to Accenture, 6-figure salary, move back to San Diego, health insurance, and try again to bring some of this innovation and creativity back to this huge aircraft carrier of a company. Or I could start on my own. 0 clients, 0 revenue, 0 health insurance. And even though I knew for the last 8 years that this is what I wanted to do, in that moment it was extremely hard. But I couldn't go back and do that and try to become an Accenture partner and do all these things. So I left. Seth had taught me that, like Sully said earlier, the Americant dream, the white picket fence, it's a sham. It's an artifact of the industrial economy. And we're not in an industrial economy anymore. We're in a connection economy. If you have a laptop, you own a factory. You own the means of production. All of you have laptops. You all own everything you need to make whatever you want to do happen. So really quick, I want you guys all to close your eyes. I'll do it with you. And I want you to visualize, what is the gatekeeper that is keeping you from taking your business to your next level? Or what is your next big project? Do you finally want to write that book that's in your head and in your draft folder on your computer? Do you want to launch a new business? I want you to visualize that next big thing that you want to do, and then the gatekeeper or the reason why you haven't done it. Okay, open your eyes. These gatekeepers, big book publishers, venture capitalists, they're losing their power, right? Oprah Winfrey used to pick people and anoint them, but Oprah is gone. Dick Clark has left the building. He's not going to put you on American Bandstand anymore. You're not going to get picked. So this is my friend AJ Leon. AJ travels the world and does these amazing projects. He'll go to Africa with his wife Melissa and teach kids how to use Twitter in a village that doesn't even have electricity. They used note cards, and they explained what a tweet was and what an @reply was, and they had the kids running around the yard. It was amazing. And then they'll go work with the Shakespeare Trust. Every year on Shakespeare's birthday, they create a video montage for Shakespeare's birthday, and they have a bunch of bloggers read Henry V, To Be or Not to Be, and then they cut it all together into a fun video, and it's a happy birthday wish to Shakespeare. So they travel the world, they do all these amazing projects. So a couple years ago, AJ got an email from Pearson, one of the biggest publishers, and they said, we want you to write a book about what you do, about your travels and your experiences. And AJ kind of had thought he wanted to write a book, so it seemed perfect. Pearson reached out to him, they gave him a contract, no agent needed to be involved. And so he started turning in some work and some of the copy and some of the edits. And then Pearson would write back and say, nah, we want to change this. Can you tell this story this way? That's not exactly what we're thinking. And AJ was a little frustrated at first. And then it happened enough that he said, you know what? Screw this. He got a first-time author, no platform book contract for $10,000. And he said, I don't need this headache. You're making me write the book I don't want to write. So he canceled the contract with Pearson. A couple years later, he published the book on his own. He created a free PDF called The Life and Times of a Remarkable Misfit and published it on his 30th birthday on his blog for free. That was the launch of his blog. And then over the next 6 or 9 months, he built a really passionate tribe that followed him online, followed his efforts around the world, everything he's doing. And then he called me up and he said, I think I want to do a Kickstarter. So we worked together, and 9 months after AJ had given the book away for free on his blog in the form of a PDF, with the core product being that book, he raised over $38,000 on Kickstarter. The other levels were, an audiobook version, a Kindle version, an EPUB version, personal delivery. For $220, AJ would drive his big RV to your house and have coffee with you and deliver the book. That's amazing. That's remarkable. That's going over and above. This is Mike Del Ponte. Mike wanted to change the way products were created and sold and marketed. Mike had sort of an enemy that was the Brita water pitcher. It's ugly, it's not sustainable, and Mike wanted to change that. So if you want to do that normally, you have to work through buyers at Walmart and Target and Bed Bath & Beyond and try to get your product in the store. But Mike didn't do that. Mike ignored all of these gatekeepers. And he went straight to Kickstarter. With the tribe he had built and the connections he had made, Tim's in this video, Mike created Soma, a completely new kind of product, a total purple cow, if you will, a total unique product, completely sustainable, gorgeous. Unlike a Brita water pitcher filter, it's something you would want to put on your dinner table when you have a dinner party. $147,000. And it's doing work that matters. A percentage of all the profits go to raise money for people that need water. This is another friend of mine, Jonathan Fields. Jonathan is a former hedge fund lawyer turned author and entrepreneur and speaker. Jonathan wanted to start interviewing other amazing people on video. So the natural sort of gatekeepers for that are the big shows, ABC, Fox. Charlie Rose, it's a Charlie Rose style thing with remarkable people. But instead, Jonathan just started doing the interviews himself with his own crew and published them online, and it's called the Good Life Project. You can see Lewis here, who spoke earlier. Lewis is the current episode of the Good Life Project. There's a ton of episodes up on the Good Life Project. He recently released it in podcast form, and it was instantly #1 podcast. Jonathan did it himself without the gatekeepers, and now the gatekeepers are calling. This is another lesson. When you do this stuff, when you pick yourself, when you build your tribe, when you do amazing work, the gatekeepers that you thought you needed before will come running. Another friend, Jake Bronstein. These weren't Jake's gatekeepers, these were Jake's common enemies. Jake was sick and tired of clothes from H&M and Zara that were designed to fall apart after 6 months. Pull a thread and it's gone. He was sick of that. So Jake created the most well-funded fashion project on Kickstarter ever, men's underwear called Flint and Tinder. I have a pair on. $291,000 on a $30,000 goal because Jake told a story. But that wasn't enough to set the record. Later, Jake went and broke his own record, raising over $1 million with one product called the 10-year hoodie. He united a tribe and told an amazing story that H&M and Zara are overpriced crap that falls apart. This is American-made, 10 years, send it to us, we'll stitch it and fix it, and you'll have it forever. $1 million. This is David Elner. David's a music industry executive who sort of semi-retired, and then he learned how to cook. Somebody got him a Thomas Bouchon cookbook, and he made Thomas's buttermilk fried chicken at home. And it blew his mind that he was able to create. He was somebody who never cooked his whole life. And so, 50-some years old, he discovers cooking is amazing. I want to do it more often. And he wasn't satisfied with any of the cookbooks on the market. And a lot of people cook with iPads in their kitchen, and he wasn't satisfied with any of those apps either. So instead of going to the VCs and raising a bunch of money, David went to Kickstarter and created Panna, a gorgeous iPad cooking app where you can see the recipe, but then you can click play and watch the famous chefs. You can watch Thomas Keller make his amazing buttermilk fried chicken right alongside the recipe. So it's like he's in the kitchen with you. He built the product that he wanted without the gatekeepers, went to Kickstarter, and got it funded. And then remember the lesson? Once you pick yourself, the gatekeepers come running. Panna just raised $1.35 million seed round. Eric Mijakovsky, the Pebble Watch. Some of you guys are familiar with this. Another guy who got turned down by every VC in the Valley. They said, this is stupid, this won't work. And Eric said, okay, I'll take it to Kickstarter and raise $10 million. He ignored the gatekeepers and he picked himself, and he's doing work that matters. And once again, the lesson proves true. The VCs come running. They just raised $15 million. And if you think about it, it's on much better terms. Who's got the power in the relationship now? He's got a bunch of customers. So he's going to be able to negotiate much better terms if he wants to work with them at all. So this was the song that was playing when I came on stage. It's my favorite hip-hop artist, Macklemore. As with most music artists, these are the gatekeepers: EMI, Warner, Universal, Sony. Macklemore, instead of going through the gatekeepers, instead of going through the brick wall and getting a terrible deal, he built up his tribe one fan at a time in Seattle. 1 fan, 10 fans. He'd do small gigs, he'd do big gigs. He wrote a song specifically for Seattle Mariners broadcaster who died, and the song got popular within Seattle, and so the Mariners asked him to give it on opening day the next year, which was the first baseball game since the legendary broadcaster had died. So that was the biggest crowd he ever had played in front of, and the word spread from there. He did a Kickstarter for one of his videos. They did a Kickstarter for. Right now on YouTube, their video Thrift Shop has over 314 million views. 314 million. So we shouldn't be surprised that when he launched The Heist, that it was #1 on iTunes, #1 on Billboard, the first to do either without a major label deal. And then last week, you guys probably heard the news, David Karp, loser, high school dropout. He skipped all the gatekeepers of Yale and Harvard and MIT. He could have gone to any of those schools. He didn't even finish high school. He was busy doing work that matters and building something great. And then he sold that thing to Yahoo for $1.1 billion with a B. Everyone in this room owns a media company. You don't need Oprah. You don't need CBS. You don't need Huffington Post. You don't need Portfolio. You don't need Union Square Ventures. If you want to write a blog that gets 1 million views, you can. If you want to organize a conference with 3,000 people, you can. Which is bad news for people that are waiting to be picked. Good news for you. So pick yourself. But do it soon. Oops. Do it soon, because if you want to be a world-traveling, kettlebell-swinging, life-hacking author and entrepreneur, it's too late. You're 7 years too late. Tim already picked that spot. And if you want to lead a bunch of small businesses by building an amazing online platform that connects them and gives them the resources they need, you're too late, because Shah already built that. And if you want to lead small groups on expeditions that are sustainable and amazing and remarkable, you're too late, because Bruce is already doing that. And if you want to bring all these people together in a room, you're about 6 hours too late, because Jason already did that. So I'll leave you with this. In 1927, in Brussels, Belgium, there was a conference called the Solvay Conference. I don't know if you can see in the picture, but there's Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, Marie Curie. 17 of the 29 people in attendance were Nobel Prize winners. But a remarkable thing is, most of the people that were there that were Nobel Prize winners won the Nobel Prize after 1927. So the organizer of the conference didn't just go down the Nobel Prize list and invite a bunch of cool people. He invited a bunch of amazing people together who connected and pushed each other and made each other's dreams happen. This is a Solvay conference. Look around you. This is just like that. Jason has pulled together a group of amazing minds for 2 days. I have no doubt in my mind that all of you will be wildly successful. The question is, will you matter? Thank you.
Not be a statistic, just let me be. No child left behind, that's the American scheme. I make my living off the words and do what I love for work and got around now.